have you ever felt that tug in your heart? And sometimes you listen to it, and then sometimes you ignore it. Well, the other day, there was stuff going on the ranch like there always is, and there was a tug at my heart. And so I said to Miss Marion and to Mr. Barry and to Jamie and to Carol, Jamie's mom, can you come with me to this lady's house that I met last year? And I've checked in on her a few times before, and she has lots of horses, and she's like 94. And she's even breeding the horses. And her son and she don't get along well. So I had gotten a call from her 3 weeks ago from Jackson Hospital that she needed a ride home, but I had kids at the house swimming in the pond, so I couldn't just leave to go pick her up. So I told her on the phone, just wait for the neighbor to get home from out of town. It'll just be a few more hours, but if you can't get a ride, call me back. So then fast forward, and here we are 3 weeks later, and it was just, all of us were together. So I figured, well, this is a good time as horse people to go and introduce them, because then we could share the burden of looking in on Miss Linda. And then maybe they could befriend her and help with the care and the aftercare. So we drove up her driveway, and the gate was open. She lives off of Highway 51, and her walker was up a little hill, and there was no sign of life. The front lawn had been mowed, and we walked to her front door, and it was open. So I opened the door, and the TV was on, and the dog was on the bed, and I hollered out her name, Miss Linda, and I didn't get a response. So I went back to Miss Marion and Barry and Jamie and Carol and said, I don't know if she's in there, and we were gonna start kind of looking for her out in her 50 plus acres that is completely overgrown, because she would take it upon herself to go check on her horses every day. And Miss Carol said, let's go inside and look to see if she's in there. And she was on the floor, under the bed. Half of her hip was under the foot of the bed. There were fleas all over her body. And Miss Marion can attest to all of this. And so then we all just did something. And we worked together as Christian soldiers, and we found her information. Marion could...
I found in her glove box an envelope that said important numbers, and I just started calling numbers. She had Scott and Sandy arrowed in red and starred, and I figured that was somebody very important because it was red. And I called both those numbers and left an extensive urgent message to call me back. It just kept going down the list. There was a Larry McLeod. I left a message on his voicemail, just several, and they all did call me back. I did get in touch with a neighbor, but it wasn't a neighbor that brought her home. It was another neighbor, and she couldn't have come and helped because her husband has Alzheimer's and dementia, and so she's at home with her husband. Their names were Jamie and Mike, and they live really close to her.
But the status of Miss Linda.
But her status, she was like, I'm a respiratory therapist, been in the medical field since I was 18, and so I did a very hard, strong rub on her chest to arouse her enough to see what her level of consciousness was. And she did, and moan and arouse some, but and asking her questions. She could not appropriately answer any questions. We called EMS. EMS showed up. When EMS showed up, I didn't know the paramedic, so I had a rapport with the paramedic, and then the paramedic called the sheriff's department. I don't know why I didn't think about calling the sheriff's department as well, but
we called 911 first.
so
But she had been, her teeth were so dehydrated.
yeah,
She had been there for at least
probably more than 24, but maybe 3 days, like that. I gave the dog, the lab that was laying on the bed above her, like guardian her. I gave the dog some water while they were assessing her in the floor, and the dog like lapped up 12 ounces of water instantly. So if the dog's dehydrated, you know she's dehydrated beyond measure. And
so and then after all of this happened, and you know, everybody came, all the respective
parties,
team members and police and animal control and people came, and then the next day, or it was that same day,
it was that evening,
she went home,
and I had my purse and, you know, my bag from the store, and went to unlatch my gate to go into my back deck. And I have a 100-pound rescue dog. His name is Rufus. He's still a puppy and 100 pounds. And when I did the latch, I was up on 2 concrete steps, and the gate was like right here, and he reared up on the gate and pushed me backwards, and I fell on my right hip, and my arm broke my fall, and I was lucky enough that I did not hit my head on the concrete carport. But all I could do was lay there and just kind of hold the gate shut and scream for my son, screaming to the top of my lungs, because I couldn't get to my phone. He heard me and come out, and of course took care of me, and I ended up going to the ER. Thankfully, I did not have anything broke, but I am very, very, very sore in my recovery. But
yeah,
as the day's events unfolded, earlier that day you had rescued Leroy, a horse that very much needed rescuing because he had no one. We came across Miss Linda, who was down and needed rescuing and had no one. And then I was down, but I had someone. And so we concluded from our day that this was very much a slap on the wrist, a wake-up call for us as a community, us as a church, us as individuals.
Yeah.
To
We have to go out of the church, get up off the pews, and find Miss Lindas that are out there. I think that the Holy Spirit used Linda's fall to jar her and say, this is what I want for you to do. Because we had just left Miss Linda and that whole thing that we saw. And then because nothing happens by accident. It's all done on purpose. And I believe that He is trying to tell us that there are people out there, so many, that are lost and hurting and have fallen and need. And then, you know, Pastor and I talked about how there's people who just need their lawn mowed, and then you can use that to check in on them. Do you have food? Does your animal have water? You know, does your animal have food? You know, all the things. And it doesn't even have to mean come to this church. It just means that we have to be the church. We have to go and we have to be disciples for Christ and show Christ's love. Because then after that, we just happened to go visit Miss Linda in the hospital. And as y'all know, Pastor works in Jackson, so he met us there, and then we were able to pray over her because we don't know if she's gonna make it. She looked very angelic laying there in room 9106. and he looked at her eyes and he said, you know, if you can register what I'm saying, you know, he tried to invite Jesus into her heart and into her life. And so we believe that she did accept Jesus that day, that we prayed over her. But it's the 1 and the 99, you know? And so, like, we all have to do it. We all have to do it, even if we do it together. Because it was something that on that day I said, come on, you guys, because you're here with me. And, you know, in numbers, we can be strong. Let's go, because Linda is very hard-headed, very prideful. And so she doesn't like to take help, which was evident with the 15 plus horses she had on her property, trying to care for them at 94. So I figured that more people would kind of help her, you know, realize that we were surrounding her in love. And I think that's what the church needs to do. I think the church needs to go out and just start surrounding people in love. And so that's our message to you guys this morning.
How old a lady is she?
I'm sorry?
How old a
94.
lady is she?
94.
94.
And she probably weighed, sopping wet, 70 pounds. And she probably weighed a little bit more than that prior to being in the floor and dehydrated, but
She was better when we saw her. Barry even said she looked hydrated.
Yeah.
They had combed all of the fleas out of her hair. It took them a long time, they said.
She laid there another hour, 10 hours, she'd have died probably.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
she was close to death.
Did you not say she had a son?
Yes.
She does have a son. He lives in
She
Henderson.
can speak to that point.
He lives in Henderson. They're very,
Estranged.
yes,
That's putting it.
lightly.
Is that the only
And
son she got?
He sold all of her horses while she was in the
yeah, a couple
hospital.
of weeks ago.
And I'm sure that broke her heart.
Probably broke her spirit, I'm sure. He, on the phone and speaking with him, he really had no concern about his mother's condition. Actually said, lady, look, what do you want me to do? What do you want from me?
He just wanted to know where the will was.
He wanted
Is
to
he
know
the
where
only
the,
child? That's the only child she has?
she had 3 children. We did find the power of attorney papers from Dan Douglas's office. It had Scott, her son, and another son, William Bradley, something like that. But Scott said that the other brother was deceased. I said, are there any other siblings? He said, yeah, I got a sister, but they can't stand each other either.
She,
So,
she ain't got no son, she just got somebody there. They ain't no
well, not
son,
even
but they
there.
can
I
take
mean,
care of
he's in Henderson and,
She was living alone.
yeah.
She was
her.
living.
That's what I know. I said she ain't got no son, she
Yeah.
just got some people that there.
Yes, sir.
I saw her A's introduced her to.
Yeah.
So, she did have the dog there and the 2 kittens, and Jamie did take those. So, there's nothing at the house that's living and breathing.
You said she lived on 51?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You know where Sue Drumright lives, or did live?
Who?
Sue Drumright, do you know Sue Drumright? Well, she lived right there on the corner,
Past Nankapoon.
not Bud Armor Road, but the road back this side going towards Ripley. Sue Drumright lived there on the corner. She's got like a fake deer in the
I
yard.
seen that deer. I seen
And
that.
that's where Sue Drumright used to live, if she's still living. And her farm is all this land over here on the side, and you cannot see the trailer from the road.
Farm,
Ma'am?
that was Dwight Ellis's farm.
But all that was, all that land, 50 acres or whatever, is hers. And she lives in a trailer up on the hill. You cannot see her trailer from the road. It's where Jimmy Diggs used to have that big brick home, and then that was his drive, and then another drive, and then that third drive was her drive.
And there are so many living like that.
Yeah.
Right around here. I mean, you could throw a stone and you could
That's
find
right.
5 windows. And So I think, I don't know how, we need to come up with a plan, you know? We need to have a plan as the church to, you know, start off with maybe having a dinner, and, or maybe just even give them a coupon. Hey, give us a call, we'll mow your lawn for free. You know, you need some help getting the leaves raked up, or whatever the case may be. We need to get out of church and get into helping
How did y'all find her? She's 91, she can't get around.
She was at Tractor Supply last summer, and she ran into Ricky, Kensley's former stepfather, and he asked if she needed help carrying feed bags to her truck. And then he came to our place and told us that he had met Miss Linda. And then
She drives, she can drive.
she has a brand new
She
drive.
was driving up until the last few weeks, and I'm assuming because she had drive-out tags on a truck she had bought, and the drive-out tags are good till August the 9th. So she just got the truck in June.
So we had been going periodically checking on her. Like before the winter storm came, Alia went and took her some pot pies, you know, and then we drove around to the back and the barn just to make sure that the horses were all in. And sure enough, she had hay in there. And so she, as strong-willed as she was and as old as she was still managing things okay. And it just got to her. You know, she just couldn't do it anymore, I guess. And, but, you know, that's her story, you know. There's a Emily and a this and a that, they're all over Lauderdale County. Even in this Woodville parameter, they're everywhere. And they need help. They need help. They need help bad. Like what we saw was disgusting. There were fleas all over her body, jumping everywhere. She had an infection, the nurse told Barry, that was so bad. Bacterial from all of the flea bites, from being on the floor.
She's got an infestation in her house.
Oh yeah,
She definitely did.
Yeah.
I mean, we were wiping each other after we had gone in there because it was so bad. But I'm saying that that shouldn't deter us. You know, because they're people, they need help. And that's what we're called to do. That's why we stand on the earth, is to go out and love one another, our neighbor, and help each other. And we are walking testimony that that's what we're finding.
You know, had I not had Logan at my home and him heard me screaming, I would have been a Miss Linda, and how long would I have laid there before I could physically get up and help myself? You know, I mean, my neighbor would have eventually heard me screaming if she had come down on that end of her house, been in the bathroom or the bedroom. But I'm telling you, I'm very loud, and this is just talking.
Yeah.
So screaming, I'm very loud, and you know, if Logan hadn't been there, I would have been laying there on my carport for a while because you could not see me from the road because of my car. And so nobody would have seen me, they would have just been hearing me. So I had the realization I could have been Miss Linda.
What's her condition now? Did she break her hip when she fell?
I don't think she did break her hip. She was stable. She was sleeping really peacefully. They said that when the son came to the hospital to check on her, she was immediately alert. But when we were there, she was, you know, very she looked angelic. You know, she looked like finally, and if she does pass, then she can pass in dignity, and not on her floor. You know what I mean? And she was all cleaned up, and we got her a little stuffed animal with a little angel attached to it. So
she was all the things you expect someone to be, having been on the floor and having been uncared for, unseen about for several days. You know, no food, no water.
She had defecated herself.
Infested with the fleas all over her, bites in her hair. dry, cracked,
Her teeth were
lips,
dry.
her teeth, her gums, her mucous membranes were very, very dry. And then, of course, you know, all the bodily functions on the bottom end of your body had happened, and she'd been there long enough where it was no longer moist, it was dried. I want to paint the picture as gruesome as it can be without being really gross, but yeah, all the things that you expect to happen and see, yes, they were all present. So, she got to the hospital, but like I said, she would not have lasted probably another 24 hours because of her level of consciousness and level of dehydration.
And I'm sure pain, you know.
You know, I'm sure she,
You know,
was
because
in pain.
she wasn't moving, because
And
we would try to,
the
yeah.
point of numbness, you know,
Yeah.
because I mean, you accept pain at a certain level after so long, you know, you just endure it. So.
So she left the walker out there at the fence and walked to the house?
She must have.
Must have, because I saw the walker and Mr. Barry and I walked up, and I was like fearing
that they would find a dead body
I
in
was
the
fearing
field.
that I would find the body up there by the walker where she had fallen, but she was in the house, so she must have went back to the house without the walker. So
That's our story.
maybe we can come up with something.
That's a good thing y'all showed up.
Yeah.
But God was telling you